a couple of days ago, I get a call from a guy that he passed me deals once in a while to take a look. And he sent me a deal for a property in New York. The property is a 25 by 100 lot, and there is a house on it that need to be demoed. And he has an approved plans to build a 7-unit building on it, about 5,000 square foot, a little bit less than 5,000 square foot. And he gave me the number, and I immediately refused the deal. I told him that I'm not interested. And he was a little bit frustrated that I said no. And we started a conversation, and I said, you know what, let's do like this. If you can explain to me how do I make money out of this deal, I'll be more than happy to take a look at it again. Obviously, he couldn't explain it, but he did pass me a voice message from the guy that tried to sell the deal saying, listen, it's very simple. It's about 5,000 square foot. The construction gonna cost you $350 per square foot. You buy it for about $200 per square foot. And there is comps in the area for 1,000 square foot, so it makes sense. I guess if you building it and buying it for half the price that it cost you to sell it, it makes sense to them. And I can understand that immediately, 1,500, there is money to make. But, and this is a big but here, that's not the case. And what I want to do is right now, I put the numbers into a very basic Excel sheet, and we're going to analyze it together. And we're going to be able to see that the fact that it looks to us maybe intuitively right, in reality, the numbers are different. So first of all, we need to understand that when we do a deal like this in New York, even the fact that we have approved plans, it's going to take us about 2 years to do it between construction and selling it. And in New York, for definitely you're going to get a stop work order and all this stuff. It's going to take us about 2 years to do it. The second part of it, especially with today mortgages and all of it, the second part that we need to understand into doing something like that is that there is other expenses into this model that are not buying it and selling it, and we're going to see how does that affect the financial model. And the third part that we need to understand is what does it make sense to us in return-wise to do something like this when we're going into construction of property like this. My personal opinion, you need to approach or pass about 20% on your money. So that is the basics of the financial model that we're looking at. So I'm going to share the model that I made, and we're going to discuss it a little bit, and we'll take it from there. So I built this financial model pretty much based on the numbers that he gave me, but I added the thing that he forgot or missed. And here we go. The gross square foot is 4,985, almost 5,000 square foot. But then we need to remember that we're not selling all of it because there is, we call it loss factor, where you don't sell the stairs, stuff like that. So you sell, it's a condominium. You sell only the condo area. So I calculated about 15% loss factor and the sellable area. And again, it's not 100% accurate. So, but more or less, you're going to see that it doesn't make any sense either way. 85% is a sellable area, which we have about a little bit over 4,200 square foot sellable area. And the way that I do it, and this is my napkin calculation, and again, I'm doing it almost 20 years, is that I said, okay, how much can I sell it for? And I took his 1,000 square foot per square foot. That's the number that the guy that sell it gave it to me. I multiplied it by the sellable square foot. I got about 4,200 square foot. And from that, I automatically take off 30%. That is my profit margin or whatever you want to call it. So for me, the way that I look at it, this deal, all of it need to cost me not more than $29.66. Now, 70%, when I do it for real, it's too low. It should be 60%. So I should take 40% gap, especially today, high interest rate, high cost, all of this. But I was nice here and I did 70%, and you're still going to see that it's not going to work. So it's all gonna need to cost me about a little bit over $2.9 million. And the price for the land was $1.1 million. There is a cost to buy it, so I need to pay attorneys, all of this. And the guy that flipped me the deal wanted his commission, so I added 5% to it, and we're getting to $1,155,000 to purchase the property. Now he said in his voice message, "Oh, it's $350 to build it." I can agree to it. So I put $350 per square foot, but there is also carrying cost. I need to pay taxes during this time that I hold the property. I need to pay insurance. New York is, I'm gonna need the access agreement with the neighbors. So I put $15 per square foot, and I got to the total cost to do the renovation, $1.8 million, a little bit over $1.8 million. And the total cost for this deal is $2.975, which is very close to what I put here. Again, I think 70% is not enough, but it came out. Now, so theoretically, we over there, we are make a little bit type of sense, maybe, but now we're gonna do the opposite direction. I'm gonna say, okay, if I'm selling it, by the way, the cost of constructing, I apologize, the cost of construction is the full square footage. So I need to build all of it, but I'm not selling all of it. So when I calculate a renovation cost, it's 350 plus 15 times 49.85. So now let's go back to the sale of the property. If I'm selling the property for about $4.2 million, my net sale, I'm gonna have to take about 8 or 9% off. And the 8 and 9% off is due to the sell cost. And the sell cost is legal 3%. I'm gonna have to say to pay an attorney to sell it. There is a condo book that I need to do, a bunch of stuff that I need to do that you can put it as part of the carrying cost or whatever it is. Transfer tax. In New York State, in New York City, you also have a mansion tax. Every property is sold, a residential property sold over $1 million, need to pay another 1% in mansion tax. And then I need to pay commission to the agent that sell it, usually between 4 to 5%. It depends if they are co-broking on it or not. So I put 4.5. It's going to cost me about 8.5% to sell the property. So out of this $4.2 million that I sold the property, I'm going to get back a little bit over $3.8 million. The cost was 2.9, and I'm making $900,000 on this deal, which again, it's 20%. It's 20% of the total cost, but it took me 2 years. So my annual return is actually about 11%. And 11% to a property or to a deal, this type of a deal, new construction, 2 years work, is just not enough. It can't justify to do this deal. Also, there is no margin of mistake in this model. This is a very skeleton model. I don't have contingencies here. I don't have delays here. I don't have a bunch of stuff here. So even in a very skinny model, expenses-wise, I still can justify the deal. So people are gonna come and say, "Oh, we can do it a little bit different. I can do it a little bit shorter time." Maybe, but it's not guaranteed. And when you do a model like this, especially in today's environment, you want to be careful. So time-wise, I think 24 months is not is the minimum. You can try to say, "Okay, I'll do it in 20, maybe even 18." Again, 14% to this type of property, to this type of a deal, I don't think it's good enough. Which brings us again to a different story. Said, okay, how can I increase my return? Is if I'm going to lower my cost. So let's go back to 24 months and going to bring us to 60%. And say, okay, if I can do it for $2.5 million, maybe it's going to make sense. But then we're going to see already that we passed our budget. And then again, we're going back to this deal doesn't make any sense to do. Three things to remember or to take from this example. One, do your own due diligence. Run the numbers, do your check how much it costs to build, all of this stuff. Don't accept other people's information. For example, I used here $1,000 per square foot, but I also, before I prepared this Excel, I ran my own comps for the area. And I found out that for the last year, going back a year, there is only one condo sold in the area for $660 per square foot. So his notion that it can be sold for $1,000 per square foot, questionable as well. So, and if I'm going to put 660, it's going to kill the deal anyway. So do your own due diligence. The second thing that you should remember is that if you're not very experienced, I don't recommend doing what's called the napkin calculation. Run the numbers, run them properly. It's going to add experience, even if you end up not doing the deal. Running numbers to deals eventually going to give you a sense of what works and what doesn't before you even do all of it. But you need to do a large number of models before getting to this point. Run numbers, that's part of the practice, part of you learning how does it work. And over time, you're going to be experienced again enough, to do something very basic and say, oh, it seems that it's going to work or not. Like the minute I saw it, I knew that it's not going to work. And again, it's out of experience, not because I'm super smart. And the third thing to remember is that, and I'm going back to the basic message that he sent me, oh, it cost me to buy 220 and to renovate 350. There is hidden expenses in deals like this, and you need to know all of them in order to do an accurate calculation. For example, the mansion tax is one example. If you don't take 1% and understand that there is another 1% tax on everything that you sell, that's a lot of money that you need to that you're losing here. The fact that there is a carrying cost that wasn't even in his calculation, it just took a basic construction cost. And for example, another aspect that is not even in this model is that in New York, according to the law, as a developer, I'm responsible for the condition of the building for the next 3 years. That's money. If something happened, that's going to have to come up out of my pocket. So I need to take it into the consideration. One of the arguments that I hear once in a while is that, what do you care anyway? You can get this from the constructor. Is going to be responsible. The constructor is responsible. It's true, but what if the constructor, for example, goes out of business? I'm still responsible as a developer. So we need to remember all this stuff when we do this calculation and knows the details of the place that we work and the type of a deal that we do in order to make an accurate calculation and decide if the deal works or not. That's it. So hopefully you learned something and you see that there is a difference between what we feel works and what actually works. And I wish you all good luck and hope to see you again. You can go to my YouTube channel. There is Excel. There is due diligence stuff, how to do it, and learn a little bit more and how to calculate and evaluate deals. Good luck.